Elon Musk just dropped a massive bombshell. I'll need 2 minutes to explain, but it starts with this. Sizing for 130 megawatts of power and cooling this year, but will increase to 500 megawatts over the next 18 months or so. He's talking about these huge fans, which without we are nothing, says Elon, but aiming for about half Tesla AI hardware, half NVIDIA or other. Play to win or don't play at all. This new data center will house 50,000 NVIDIA GPUs just for FSD training alone, which is more compute than Tesla had until the last earnings report. And this one cluster is going to exceed that. No wonder Elon says we are nothing without our fans. If there are going to be 50,000 NVIDIA chips, it means there's going to be equivalent compute coming from Dojo, which means that Tesla is definitely not giving up on Dojo, which means that there's a good chance maybe that Dojo is going to work. So that was Elon Musk dropping a massive bombshell saying that Dojo is going to be used in a big way in this cluster. Many investors have sort of given up on Dojo earlier, but not Elon. He's playing to win here. I don't expect the market to react to this news until it's actually done though. When you zoom in a little bit, you realize just how big they are. This little stick right here is a person, by the way. Over here, they don't look that big, but here, wow. Martin Vieca, who used to be in charge of Tesla's investment relations, has a surprising comment. I have always been pro advertising. 1% of revenue spent on ads, both digital and TV, would, I think, be margin accretive and mission accretive. Someone check on Gary Black to make sure he's still breathing. Turns out he is. As a Tesla shareholder, please convince your ex-boss. It all started with this. Still today, even in the US, when I tell people that the Model Y is the best-selling car in the world, I get a, there's no way that can be true look. Every time, says Martin. Elon himself saw the video and commented, interesting. I think there's a good chance that Elon might actually start being pro ads a bit more.
What do you reckon the #1 selling car was in the world last year?
Toyota.
Close. What would you say if I told you it was a Tesla?
I wouldn't believe it.
1.2 million units the Model Y sold last year. Second place was a Toyota RAV4.
And this year, the Tesla sales are down.
Would you ever consider owning a Tesla yourself?
No, because the jury's still out on what happens with the battery at the end of the life, you know. And they're too expensive at the moment. Maybe another 5 years or 10 years.
So what do you reckon the #1 selling car was in the world last year? What would you say if I told you it was a Tesla?
It was a what?
A Tesla.
Never heard of it.
An electric car.
Oh.
Yeah, Tesla Model Y.
Oh, yeah, it would be, yeah.
Would you guys ever consider getting an electric car?
No, I wouldn't.
And why is that?
Well, they did have a demo from Melbourne to Sydney, and
Yep.
they reckon that the petrol car was cheaper to run than what the electric one was. And then you got to find a station you can actually plug into and wait.
Interesting. And yourself? Would you ever consider it?
No, I would, because I don't know enough about them.
Toyota Corolla.
What would you say if I told you it was a Tesla?
Was it?
Tesla Model Y.
No, I didn't expect that one.
Would you ever consider like driving an EV or a Tesla?
Maybe a Tesla, they're pretty cool, but
Yeah.
I feel like I've got to save up for more money for that.
What do you reckon was the #1 selling car in the world last year?
Tesla.
Would you ever consider driving an EV or anything like that? And why is that?
Because of the pollution it causes to make them.
Yep.
And then 5, 6 years, 8 years down the track, your batteries are no good and you're going to spend 25 grand, 30 grand getting new batteries.
Toyota.
Close. What would you say if I told you it was a Tesla?
I'd be shocked.
What would you say if I told you it was a Tesla?
Oh, I did know that actually.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I don't think of Tesla as a normal car. That's the problem.
Would you ever consider driving an electric car or a Tesla?
Oh, I would. I've got a friend who's very pleased with his Tesla.
Toyota Camry.
What would you say if I told you it was a Tesla?
I would not expect that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not expecting
It's
that.
actually my second guess.
Would you consider driving an electric car or a Tesla?
It's probably just too expensive, but yeah.
If it was cheaper?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Maybe not a Tesla, but an electric car.
I have a very important announcement to make. I will post tomorrow's news video on this new channel, so you might want to subscribe to it right now. However, only subscribe if you support Elon Musk politically. Later, I will change that channel to a political channel. And if you support Elon Musk, you will love it. And I think I will probably post most of the daily news videos on that new channel for a little bit, because this current channel, while it has been rebuilt to the basically similar views as I had before, for some reason YouTube pays 50% more on the old channel for the same views and watch time and average view duration. Maybe it's because this channel used to be a clips channel, and maybe because in the beginning it wasn't fully unique content, YouTube is not paying as much. I don't know, but I want to test and figure this out. A link to subscribe to that new channel is down below in the description. Oh, it's all making sense now. Remember Michael Dell meeting Elon Musk earlier this year? Turns out that compute is going to be for XAI and not Tesla. It appears that Elon Musk is aiming to have the supercomputer operational by fall of 2025. And get this, once completed, the interconnected array of NVIDIA H100 GPUs would be at least 4 times larger than the largest existing GPU clusters, as Musk indicated during a presentation to investors in May. Elon specified that Dell is assembling half of the racks that are going into the supercomputer that XAI is building. Shout out goes to Sawyer for clarifying why the Cybertruck did not make the most American-made list. The reason why both the Cybertruck and Rivian vehicles are not on this list is because they have gross vehicle weight rating above 8,500 pounds, which are exempt from the American Automotive Labeling Act. Tesla bull Tom Narayan reduces his Tesla stock price target on lower Robotaxi estimates. He still maintains an outperform rating though. His previous price target was $293 and the new one is $227. He said the two main changes were lowering the per mile pricing assumption and adjusting the revenue share assumptions. However, keep in mind that his projections are for like 2040. So he basically says when Robotaxis reach mainstream global usage, which the analyst sees happening closer to 2040, there will likely be multiple software providers, fleet operators, and car makers making these purpose-built vehicles. The taxi app, meanwhile, will likely be dominated by a few players, Narayan adds, and while Tesla will be among them, legacy service providers like Uber and Lyft will also have a strong market position. But he says that robotaxis remain the most important driver for his Tesla stock valuation. I think he's being way too conservative with his timelines here. Also, for a moment, let's assume he is somewhat right and that later on the prices will come down, which I, by the way, model very closely. And ARK Invest, they basically model just for 2029, but I look a bit further out and I price the per mile cost and price based on the lowest prices that I can realistically assume. And still with these numbers, the valuation is pretty big. But where Tom, I think, makes a mistake is, with this business, if you're the first one to capture the market and now you have the best cost advantage, you are not going to let anyone else into the market, basically. It's just too costly right now, for example, for anyone to compete with Uber. It will be the same with Tesla, but with robotaxis. You need to develop your own FSD system, which has to be at least as safe as Tesla's, otherwise it's gonna free people out. And at the same time, you would have to be extremely good at manufacturing, which is a very rare combination. Tesla is good at both, developing technology, but also mass manufacturing. No one really beats Tesla on cost for EVs, and no one is as close to FSD using the vision approach as Tesla. So you combine these two, and it's so incredibly difficult for anyone to compete with Tesla in the future that it's almost impossible in the long term for quite a long time. And by the time FSD is safer than human driving and robotaxis are deployed, people will then actually pay attention to Tesla bot. Right now, FSD for many still seems out of reach and almost impossible, so they don't even think about the Optimus bot. But with Elon staying at Tesla and him getting the compensation package and him being happy with the shareholders, I think Elon Musk will focus on FSD, get it working, and then after that, he will work on Tesla bots. In the long term, I think ARK Invest is going to be closer to the actual Tesla stock price than Tom Narayan. Also, based on what I'm seeing here from TipRanks, Tom Narayan hasn't been giving out Tesla stock targets for a long time, but Cathie Wood has, and she correctly said back in 2017 that Tesla could be worth multiples of the then current $50 billion market cap. ARK Invest has gotten other companies wrong, but with Tesla, they have been pretty good. Actually, very good. So good that Elon Musk says that their research and analysis so far has been the most accurate. Looking at Tesla's deliveries, Italy just had its best single day ever. In Europe, Italy is a pretty sizable auto market, but EVs have just not taken off. But maybe that is going to change now. We also just got official Europe sales for May, which came in at 19,100, which is basically almost exactly how many AJ estimated, so it shouldn't really surprise the market at all. This quarter, AJ predicts 421,000 deliveries. In the Chinese market above a certain price range, Tesla remains firmly in the #1 position with the Model Y, selling more than double the units than the second place, or more than the second and the third places combined. So that's good, and this I believe includes all kinds of fuel types. So this is probably pretty good. Tesla just signed lithium carbonate supply deal, which will run from 2025 to 27. There are no details about pricing or how much exactly Tesla will purchase, but this is usually used for LFP chemistries, which go into Tesla's rear-wheel drive vehicles. You can charge them to 100%. They don't degrade as quickly and they don't catch on fire as quickly, but they do have less range. Now, if this is accurate, looks like Tesla could be lining up lithium for in-house LFP production. Although it's likely that Tesla is going to put all of this not into vehicles, but into energy storage. And this is likely related to this from January. Tesla purchased some CATL equipment to manufacture batteries for Megapack specifically in Nevada. So if this goes well and Tesla is able to get these costs down to a point where it actually makes sense for Tesla to manufacture the batteries, then of course Tesla is going to do better in the energy business. The CEO of XPeng is visiting the US and said he just tested Tesla's full self-driving V12 3.6 as the software is set to be brought to China this year, and Elon commented on this, saying that the Chinese automakers are by far the most competitive. And now he's trying to get his hands on V12.4.1. I wonder if he would ever be interested in licensing Tesla's technology. Also, just now, Tom Zhu mentioned that FSD launch in China will be soon. He was answering questions from the employees. And Omar is getting excited. He just had his third zero intervention drive in a row. Now this one is not really a long one, it's 11 minutes long, but still 3 times in a row, that's pretty good. Oh, and I have to mention that it was from parking spot to parking spot completely hands-free. The first drive for Omar, by the way, was 39 minutes. Okay, so that's a pretty long drive. And the second one was 28 minutes. So overall, that's pretty good. So we know that Tesla's auto park feature has improved after the spring update, and you can see it in action here. And it does seem to be better. It's certainly better than what I experienced when I tried to use my auto park feature. I think I actually just got the spring update, so I should try it again myself. But this is really good. Usually when I used it before, it would try to park maybe 3, 4, or 5 times, and then eventually it would get it. So it would take about 5 to 10 times longer than how long it took for this car to park. And keep in mind, this is just the beginning, so the software will only get better and parking will only get faster. For me right now, the most annoying thing is that it just doesn't get it right the first time and it just keeps trying. And especially sometimes when it's doing the right thing, it stops and it's like, oh, I think it's the wrong thing, let me try again from scratch. And then it backs out and tries again and doesn't often work. I can sort of relate to this now, and there are many such cases as Omar. I give up. That entire month of FSD trial didn't feel that impactful, but when I had to return to manual driving with autopilot, I just wanted the car to fully drive itself. I thought I would get used to not having FSD again, but I couldn't. With FSD 11, I would sometimes find myself driving and not using FSD, and then I would realize, oh, I'm not using FSD. I should turn on FSD. But now, after having driven on it for quite a while, I sort of get a little bit annoyed if I cannot turn it on or use it for some reason. I especially love using it after a long day if I'm tired and I just want to have it easy. I don't need to fight the traffic. I just turn it on and I just let it do its thing. I have, however, purchased FSD outright before, so I don't need to worry about do I want to keep my subscription or cancel. Now, how much do you think the hardware 3 computer costs? Well, there are some rumors going around that say it's only $275. I think this makes a lot of sense. Tesla should sell an FSD annual subscription for $1,000. That way people can't cancel. Right now, it makes too much sense to cancel if you are on vacation or won't be driving too much. Did you know that officially, Tesla Korea's FSD transfer period is until June 28th, while Japan's is until September 30th? James commented on Martin talking about advertising. I love Martin. Coincidence? He says this now and not a few weeks ago? Nope, I agree with him actually. Martin is no longer with Tesla anymore, and I think while you are with Tesla, expressing views publicly that are not aligned with Elon's views can definitely cost you your job. Gary Black posted a more detailed Tesla stock update. Institutions are changing how they value Tesla stock. Many of us see Robotaxi and Optimus becoming big Tesla businesses in the future, and so want to include valuations for both, but until we see working prototypes that we can compare to everything else out there, so we can size potential Tesla market share and attach unit economics to them, we cannot estimate earnings or cash flow estimates with any degree of confidence, and therefore leave them out of Tesla's valuation for now, which gives us retail Tesla stock investors a big opportunity. Some things I think are just too obvious. It's like asking, well, robotaxis and FSD, will that be big for Tesla? Well, I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. If you have been using FSD since V11, it's obvious that Tesla is making lots of progress with FSD, and it doesn't really take a big brain to figure out that Tesla is going to make a lot of money with that. Now, Gary continues here. That said, with a 2024 PE of 75x, which was 50 to 55x at the start of 2024, and Tesla's EV business barely growing, the peg is absurdly high, says Gary. Clearly, there is a shift in thinking underway about Tesla valuation, with increased weight being put on Robotaxi and Optimus, although I think he's forgetting the energy business, which now has higher margins than the auto business. And Elon said that Tesla's energy business is going to grow 200 to 300% this year in 2024, and that starts to add up if that growth can continue for a little bit. Gary continues, it will likely come down to, can Tesla continue to grow global EV adoption, still only at 15%, via a $25,000 compact and great advertising, like Apple has sort of done with its business, until Robotaxi and Optimus prove out and begin to scale. With 72% shareholder support for Elon's compensation plan, clearly investors see Elon Musk as the perfect manager to lead Tesla into the AI future. The trick is, of course, deciding when to return to an overweight position in Tesla's stock. My goal is to try to make money for our clients. I'm certainly not kicking myself in the butt with a 2.9% weight in Tesla. If we believe Tesla's valuation will soar as Robotaxi and Optimus progress, and Tesla has the product set and skills to arrest the decline in its EV business, then we would increase our Tesla position. I wish Gary good luck. He will definitely need it. It's, to me, it sounds like he's trying to attempt to pull off an Elon Musk move and do something basically almost impossible, timing the stock market. I mean, you could have bought right here and held Tesla stock for about 6-ish years and make no money, and if you sold here, which some people did, you would have lost out on such big gains. So I'm not going to sell anything. I'm keeping everything until the stock jumps again, like he has done before. I think it's important for us Tesla stock investors to follow this pretty closely. Elon replied to this Wall Street Journal story by saying it's lawfare. Elon Musk and the SEC are on a collision course again. Testimony provided to regulators suggests Musk and an advisor brushed off compliance with a rule about disclosing his purchases of Twitter stock. And look at what they want to do to Elon. The SEC hasn't filed any enforcement action so far against Musk over his Twitter trading. If the SEC makes a formal complaint against Musk for fraud, regulators are likely to again ask a court, pay attention here, to bar him from serving as an officer or director of a public company. Former officials said, expose him to the possibility of removal from Tesla. They sued him previously, and I think they are disappointed with the outcome of that settlement and how he has responded to it, said Mark Fagel, who previously ran the SEC San Francisco office. They are putting in the extra work to see if they can get a stronger case here. I played the clip before showing the current president saying that Elon Musk should be looked at, basically. I think Jason has a point here. When the government says something needs to be looked at, they are questioning the truth or legality of something. This usually results in crushing investigations, lawsuits, subpoenas, etc. by the government against said person, and that's exactly what's happening. Model 3 performance deliveries in China to customers have definitely started. Here's one picture proving it. Here are a few key points that Elon Musk made yesterday during the interview. Elon Musk was actually confronted by the person who basically represents the advertisers, and especially pay attention to the body language of the interviewer. This was a confrontation. He was very uncomfortable.
Welcome to the heart of the advertising industry. Now, back in November, you had a message to us. You told us to sort of go f ourselves. Maybe we start there. Why did you say that?
And so Elon Musk fired back, although somewhat diffusing the situation. He said the GFY remark was not to advertisers as a whole. It was with respect to freedom of speech. It is important to have a global free speech platform where people with a wide range of opinions can voice their views. But in some cases, there were advertisers who were insisting on censorship. Elon doubled down on humanoid robots, saying that every human will have a humanoid robot, and he thinks there will be 20 billion humanoid robots. I think he's definitely not wrong here. Companies that will succeed are those that most effectively use AI. AI is an immensely powerful tool, and if you are able to use AI in your business, you will definitely get ahead. But for certain things, it's just not quite there yet, but it is, of course, getting better fast. I published that interview on the channel. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you do. I put timestamps as well, so you can save yourself a lot of time. I like the part when Elon Musk talked about how ideas are basically pitched to him, or how he executes on ideas, or how he approaches ideas. If you didn't know, Elon Musk, he said it himself in this interview, is not data driven. And for an engineer to say that, that's a big deal. There's also going to be another Elon Musk interview. This one is going to be with Piers Morgan. Elon seems to be in a pretty good mood here, so I expect the interview to be pretty positive and pretty interesting. Piers Morgan, usually when he interviews people, he doesn't just ask super shallow questions that everyone asks. So I expect this interview to actually be really good, and it will probably get some fresh things out of Elon that he doesn't talk about. I will probably post some of the highlights from the interview. I will cut it up. One day when Starlink eventually goes public, I will probably become a Starlink investor. And check this out. For 42 billion, they could have bought Starlink dishes for 140 million people. In the US, we have over 300 million people. Biden's 42.5 billion rural high-speed internet plan gets stuck in red tape. Not a single home connected 3 years after enactment. Who is getting the money? This is outrageous. $42.5 billion and not a single person got internet? I'm asking a sincere question here. How do you justify this? You could have literally just spent the money, give it to Elon, and everyone in the US in rural area, literally every single person in the rural area would have had internet. Good internet too. Elon responded with, wow, that's crazy. Surely some people should lose their jobs over this. If wasting billions isn't enough, what does it take? Speaking of the current administration, the president said the future of electric vehicles will be made in America by union workers. But Greg points out that he's pretty sure Elon Musk already makes them in America. It's just, of course, that Tesla's employees are not a part of a union. But according to GM, both the upcoming Cadillac Optic EV and Chevy Equinox EV will be made in Mexico. The Ford Mach-E and Chevy Blazer EV are also both currently already built in Mexico, not in the US. And I definitely agree with Dylan here. Tesla needs to advertise more about its creation of American jobs and its American-made vehicles. The Cars report also said 58% of people were willing to pay more for a car if they knew it was supporting American jobs. But most people don't know about it. But if we told them, they would, and they admit themselves that they are willing to pay more for a vehicle that is made in America. Whoa, there's something crazy happening here, which should help Tesla reduce some costs. The biggest glut of copper in 4 years has built up in Chinese warehouses, with one analyst saying the excess metal simply cannot be consumed. Manufacturers are pulling back on buying after a price spike and lower consumer demand. Look at this drop. It's below zero. Yeah, that's zero. And that's below zero. This is like oil during the pandemic. This is funny. Shareholders criticized Toyota management at this year's annual meeting. The admonitions best summed up by one attendee who simply asked, "Is Toyota okay?" Oh wow, well, I think we are witnessing a pretty big moment here. Ford Mach-E EV lease prices dropped below gas-powered Mustang with new discounts. There's this big or popular startup that's working on humanoid robots. It's called Figure, and the chief technology officer just left the company to found a different humanoid robotics company. Sounds like there's some drama going on over there. Ferrari's preparing to launch its first EV sports car, but it will come with a shocking price tag. It will be $500,000. Okay, I definitely feel electrified already. That's it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and subscribe to that new channel as well. The link is down below in the description.